Hello.
What is OBS? Today I don't
OBS
have
is
any idea.
like tool for screen recording and the streaming. You guys don't watch the e-games, right? Like the PUBG and
Mhm.
other stuff. Okay.
Yeah, I.
Okay, you play PUBG, but yeah, they use this tool to stream live or they use this tool to record the screen, right? So let's come to the AWS. Let's forget about the PUBG. Here, as you can see, today first topic is VPC peering. We will be going to talk about the VPC peering. Then we will be doing some practicals on it. Okay. So, as you guys can see, I have created few diagrams before this class, and here we have two VPCs, VPC A and VPC B. So, as you all know, VPC is completely isolated network, right? Isolated network or isolated, like we can say, private, virtual private cloud, where there is no interference from outside the world till you turn on the attach the internet gateway or provide the open the rules from the NACL and the security group. Till there is no interference. But when it comes to the privacy, you can also have a completely private isolated network. If you don't want to connect to the internet, you can also do that. Okay. So when what if we want to connect two VPCs together? Now the question is here that means we can also connect the two VPCs if we have even without the peering if we are using the public IP addresses. Okay. So what will happen here in this scenario if we are not using peering, if we are just using the public IP addresses? So for example, this is VPC1, this is VPC2. Here the concept will be client server architecture. If we are using the public internet, so you can understand that this globe is the internet. So if we are connecting from one VPC to another VPC through the internet now. And when you are connecting through the internet, that means that connection is not a secure connection. Okay? Because we are going through the whole internet. Now, when it comes to the peering, that network will be completely private network. That means you will be able to communicate from A VPC to B VPC using their private IP addresses. You will not be using the public IP address to communicate with each other. In this case, you have to use the public IP address, and in this case, you can use the private IP addresses. Now, when it comes to the VPCA, as you can see, we have this VPC, and inside this VPC, we have this subnet. Okay, and inside this subnet, we have this instance, and the instance name is A. Similarly, this is BVPC. Inside BVPC, we have a subnet, and inside the subnet, we have one instance, which is the B instance. And this is a peering connection which is created between these two VPCs. And as you can see, peering connection created here is bidirectional, so the A can communicate to B, and B can also communicate to A. Now, what is communication? That means, for example, any application is working on VPC A on any IP. Like, for example, let's talk about the instance IP is 172.24.13.2, for example. So now in this scenario, any server, like if I have enabled everything from the route table to knuckle to security group, then that specific instance, the B instance, will be able to communicate to this through this IP to this system, okay, using the private IP. And if A has hosted something by using curl command, or if we have the graphical user interface using the browser, we will be able to access that hosted website through the private network. And the reason why we use the VPC peering is like, for example, you are working in a huge organization where you have multiple components. For example, let's take the example of Swiggy, right? Swiggy is a very popular uh, what we can say food delivery service in India. They have an application, and in that application we have multiple components. Let's talk about the components. The cart, which is the end place where the orders are mentioned. There's some component or the application specifically for the restaurants. There is a specific application for the customers or the person who is going to order the food. There is a specific application for Instamart. There is a one more like feature of Swiggy, Instamart, where they sell the grocery products. Now, as you know, all these three are completely separate components, but they comes under Swiggy. They are accessible from one app. Now, similarly, so one component will be deployed in one VPC and another component will be deployed in another VPC. Usually, this kind of concept is done when we talk about the VPCs. Why to create different VPCs? When you have different components, you want the complete isolation. What the only thing you want? is that there is an application or API hosted on this IP. So this system should be able to communicate with this IP or this API only, nothing else. The rest of the network should be isolated. So in this case, you can use the VPC pin and you also have the isolation. Okay, or you can say the separation. As well as if you have a huge team, then you can simply divide that. Hey, 10 subnet is for the shopkeeper or the restaurants, and 172 subnet is for the customers component. So you can directly give a sub dedicated subnet to a component, and in that subnet we can launch multiple systems, right? So this is the requirement of VPC pairing, and I hope you all got the requirement and you got the understanding of this VPC pairing, right?
Um,
Yes,
Manish,
Manish.
Yes, go ahead.
can create two instances in one VPC, right? Then,
Yeah,
th- then what's the use of using VPC pairing here?
that's the thing that I told you. Like whenever we are working on multiple components, whenever we are working on a huge application where we
Oh,
have multiple
got
components, separate portions. So what do you think in like cart section or for the like customer section or for the shopkeeper section, there will be only one instance? No, man. There can be hundreds of instances for one component only. Because you guys
yeah,
are assuming that we can host the whole application in one instance. No. In one
yes,
instance, there will be only one API. We have a database, we may
yeah,
have Redis, we may have Elastic Cache, we may have some monitoring applications. Lots of things there, right?
yes.
So that's the concept. Okay. So that's why VPC pairing comes in the scenario. Now, there are some rules in VPC pairing. Rule number one is this, which is the most important rule, is this. If you have created two VPCs with the same CIDR, then pairing is not possible, man. You can't do that. How would you tell A to communicate with B if both the systems have same IP address? Or if even if the both the systems have IP address in the same subnet? What will happen here if A is going to if you say that, hey, A, communicate with this IP address. The IP address is 172.24.1.31. What A will do, A will be start A will start looking this IP address inside the subnet of A. A will not look into the B. So eventually, this is not possible. AWS will not allow you to create the VPC pairing with the same subnet IDs. And apart from that, most of the things are solved. That means previously cross accounting VPC pairing was not possible, but nowadays it's possible. I'm talking about like older days, approximate before 2015 or something like that. If you go to the some AWS docs, older docs, you will find that VPC pairing is not possible. Cross account, that was older thing. Now this cross region, cross account it's possible. Earlier cross region was not possible, but now you can also do that. But remember, if you create any network, cross region network, that means you're creating a network from India to Africa or India to anywhere like America. You have to pay a lot of charges because you're going to transfer data from one end to one end, and those charges will be data transfer charges. You can see those charges in your billing. Okay, so always remember that if you're launching an instance and if your application is working on that, sometimes you may have to pay the data transfer charges, and that's because of the cross region concept. All right, so let's jump to the console and let's start doing the VPC pairing. Let's click on the VPC. I will be doing the practical very fast, so you guys have to stay with me. Okay, whenever you guys like, I will be asking the doubts at the ending of the demonstration. You can tell like what's the issue you're facing, or if you have any doubt, you can ask. So for the scenario, I have already created two VPCs. One is VPC 1 and second is VPC 2. Okay. For now, we don't have any instance in these VPCs. So let's launch the instance inside these VPCs. So I'm just clicking here, open a new tab. Let's launch the instance. So I have clicked on the EC2. So as you can see, we don't have any instance. Launch instance. Instance name, let's give the instance name as A. Amazon Linux, we are okay with that. T2 Micro, we are okay with that. Let's select the DevOps key that we downloaded yesterday. Security group, default one, the existing one. We don't want to create the new one. And as you can see, this is the VPC one, right? As you can see, network name, VPC one is here. Subnet, it will give the subnet, and public IP is auto assigned. We will talk about public IP as well later. More on public IP. And rest of the things will be same. Let's launch the instance. Okay, now click on view all instances. Let's launch another instance, and the name will be B. Everything will be same. We just need to change the what VPC here. Let's select the VPC2 here. Now as you can see, we have selected two VPC. When it comes to the subnet, let's keep it normal on the select. It's not necessary to provide the subnet here. And security group, if we have default one, let's see. Yes, we have default one. Let's select the default one. I hope the subnet selection will be automatic. Oh, sorry, we don't have any subnet in this VPC. I forget that. We have to create one subnet as well. Let's create the subnet as subnet the VPC2. Availability zone, no preference. CIDR, we can select the 10.0.1.0/24. Okay, you can define the subnet according to your use. You can like cut the IPs. It's just the IP concept. Okay, the subnetting concept, you can define the subnet as per your use. I'm just creating this single subnet and the name will be this. Let's create the subnet. Oh, oh, the CIDR is not within the VPC. What was the CIDR? Why the VPC CIDR is 24? Just a second, guys. Accidentally, I have created the VPC CIDR at very low. Like we don't have enough IPs in the VPC. So I have to cut the subnet from /24 inside the 24. Okay, no issues. We will fix that later. It's just the subnet concept, so no issues on that. We have to manage inside this. So subnet hyphen VPC2 10.0.0.0 slash keep it as 28. Hope this will work.
Um, what's the main difference between CIDR and normal IP address? Then how can
CIDR
we?
means it's a group of IP addresses. It's a range. It's a range where we have multiple IP addresses. A subnet means it is a group of IPs, a group of you can say IPs, and when it comes to single IP address, that will be only single. A subnet has a CIDR. That means a subnet has a group of IP addresses. Okay. So
Yeah.
for your like clarity, you can just search this on your like IP address calculator. You will find the number of IPs in any subnet. Okay. It's a specific topic in CCNA for subnetting. Also, you can find these subnetting videos over the YouTube as well. It's a very smooth concept. You will be understanding that very easily. That comes on dedicated to networking. Okay, but for the basic clarity, you can say like subnet means group of IP addresses, and it will have a CIDR. Okay, CIDR also defines the group of IP address, and when it comes to the single IP address, that will be pointing to only one resource. Okay.
Okay, man.
So we have created the subnet here. This is our subnet. Let's go back here. Select the subnet. Oh, first of all, I have to refresh from here. And as you can see, we got the subnet here, okay, that we just created. Auto sign public IP, let's keep this enabled because we are going to take SSH into the system. And when it comes to the security group, let's go with the default one and everything looks fine. Let's launch the instance. So now we have two instances launched in two different VPCs. Okay, so half of the scenario is ready. Let's talk more about the instances. Okay, so let's go to the route table. So inside the route table, like we have the VPC1 here. If you just click on the where is the main route table? Here is the main route table. Let's open this route table in a new tab. So here you guys can see this is the main route table, and in this main route table we have the internet gateway attached here. Okay, so I will let you know what is the benefit of having the internet gateway. As you can see, if you just click here, we have the private IP address here assigned in the range of 172, and here we have the private IP address assigned in the range of this 10.0 or something. Okay, so if you just go scroll this up, like let's click here, this is the detail over here, and let's take the SH on firstly A server. Now, how would we take the SH? Using the PowerShell. And also, because I'm a Linux lover, so what I do is I have installed the Linux subsystem in my this system as well. So I can also use the Ubuntu in my system. I have installed that. For this, it's a specific trick where you have to install the Linux subsystem into the Windows. After that, you will be able to use the Linux into your system as well. So I have installed the Ubuntu system inside this Windows. So just to use this, I just need to, first of all, let me check where I am. PWD. Okay, so I'm somewhere home Ubuntu. Let's do the PWD. Let's go slash. Okay, so the path is something like this. Okay, let me check the home. So that will be a bit difficult for me to manage from here because the file where our key is placed is not currently at this location. For that, what I have to do is I have to launch the Ubuntu on a location which is my Windows location. Okay, so as you can see, if I just right click here, I have the option of launch Linux shell here. Now my Ubuntu is on desktop. If I just go back after CD, I can go to the downloads. Now here we are. sh-I, the name of the PAM key is DevOps.pam. And after this is the public IP address. Let's paste the IP address. And before this, we have to mention the username, ec2-user at the rate, and boom. We are inside the system A. Okay, as you guys can see. Okay, what it says. Yeah. Do you guys know what's the issue here? If you guys have tried to log in into the system using Linux, then you guys must have faced this issue. Do you guys know what's the issue here? Hello.
Uh, I'm unaware. Sorry.
Okay. As you can see,
Key
it
permission
says,
should
yes.
be as administrator.
No, 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 no. It's not about the administrator. It says permission 0777 for DevOps .pam are to open. The simple concept says that the permissions of a key file, a .pam key, should not be higher. So if I do ls-l and I just type here DevOps.pam, you guys can see the permission is full here. Full means I have full permission to open and edit this key file. So this is not a good permission for a PAM file. So to fix this issue, you have to use a command which is chmod. Now what this chmod command does, it will change the permission for that .pam file, and we should give the permission as 400 devops.pam. And if you guys don't know about the 400, then you guys should learn the Linux. Okay, let's clear this and let's try the sh command now. And as you guys can see, again we got the error. Okay, permission is 555. Oh, I can see. I cannot change the permission directly because I'm not the root user. I have changed the permission, but I am not able to remove the execute, so I have to use the sudo here. Hope the password is correct. Again, the permission is like this. So maybe we are not able to change the permission because we are using the subsystem and it's keeping it with the execute permission. But eventually, if we have the execute permission on PAM file, we won't be able to do the sh. So for now, we have to come back to the Windows. That's the permission issue. I will see that later. That will take our more time. So sh hyphen I. Although the command was correct, if you are using Linux, that command will definitely work. Eventually, the command worked here as well, but the issue was that it was not able to remove the execute, this X permission from here. So that's the reason why we are not able to use the PAM file. Okay. So sh-I devops.pem ec2-user at the rate and the IP address. Let's hit enter. And you guys can see we are able to take sh into the server. Now we are inside the server A. Okay. And let me show you something. If you're inside the server A and if you're trying to ping to the server B, let me know. Will I able to do this or not? Like this will work or not if I do the ping? Definitely not. Can anybody tell me the reason why I'm not able to ping from one system to another system, even if I'm using the public IP address, man?
We need to define the in the security group that the communication is possible, right?
Okay, great. So you mean we need to define this in the security group? Let's go to the security group. Here we have the inbound rules, right? Let's right click here, open a new tab. Now this time we are changing for the VPC one, or the, you can say, let's click on the inbound. I will be opening here ICMP. Okay, ICMP is for what?
I
ICMP.
forgot.
No, ICMP is for ping. We were using ping, right? And
Right,
let's
right.
open it for the public network. Save the rule. Now we have opened the ICMP in the inbound of the A, right? But we have logged in into the A, so we have to open it for the B. So because we want to access into the B, right? Let's click on inbound, add rule, ICMP, IPv4, anywhere, and let's save the rule. Let's go back and try the ping command again. Again, I'm not able to do this. Anybody? What's the issue now? I have done the proper
Uh,
thing.
we need to modify the outbound rules as well.
No,
Okay.
because we have changed in the security group. That's the reason why there is no need of the outbound change here. Because we are just using the ICMP, right? Okay, let me give you one more thing. Let me tell you one more thing. Okay, or one more scenario. Let's try to take SH on this B server. Okay.
Maybe peering is not done.
No, man. This is not the concept of peering. The reason, because we are using public IP addresses, not private. You remember here I talked about the private IP addresses. Remember this. Okay. And from here
Mm,
I'm copying the public IP address. Public IP address means you are going through the internet. The lower concept. This one, direct to the internet. So there is no need of private IP address till now. So okay. So we are using the internet
okay.
path. So there is no need of private IP address concept. We are using this one. And also there is no need of peering. Now, as you guys can see, even I'm not able to take SH on this server. Anyone would like to correct me, like what's wrong here? Why I'm not even able to take SH in this server? It says timeout. Anyone? Okay, we need to define the port 22 in the security group, right? We define port 22 in the security group? No, no, we haven't
Okay,
defined the.
no.
No,
Exactly,
Yeah.
no.
exactly. We haven't defined the port 22 in the security group. So let's define the port 22 first. So as you can see, again from anywhere, I have defined the port 22. Not my IP, this time anywhere. Let's keep this anywhere. Let's try to take SH again to the system. And this time I have defined the security group, port 22 on the security group, right? It's open from the security. And by default, NACL is also open to all. So don't worry about the NACL here as well. Did you guys check the video uploaded on the classroom? I have uploaded the video of yesterday's session on classroom. Anyone check that video?
No.
No.
Okay, so there is a drive folder attached with the classroom where you guys will get the recordings of the sessions. and you have to go there and check the video of yesterday's session. So you will find the logic here. For now, let me tell you, the reason is that because we have created a new VPC, and whenever you create a new VPC, you don't use the older one or the default one. You have to define the whole routing, and the major thing is that we don't have a second internet gateway. If you don't have an internet gateway, you cannot go to the internet. And if you cannot go to the internet, or instance cannot go to the internet, even you can't go to the instance, right? So that's the reason why it's not working. So let's give the IGW, Internet Gateway, VPC. What's the name? 2. We have to create the Internet Gateway here. So as you can see, this is the Internet Gateway. Let's click the actions attached to VPC. Which VPC is there? VPC 2. Let's attach it with the VPC 2. So creating Internet Gateway is also most important thing. You guys forget this. That was the most important thing here. Now let's go to the main route table. This is the main route table. Okay, we need to check the route table as well. Let's check the routes. As you can see, there is only one route which is for the local. Again, if you are going to try the SH, you want to be able to do that. Why? Because routes are not defined. Now you guys must be wondering, yesterday we didn't change anything related to routes. We just checked the route table, right? But I told you, if you are going to use the default one, you will have the routes automatically created. As you can see, this is automatically created here. And whenever you're going to try the manual one, or you will create the new VPC, you have to define everything by yourself. This is the reason. This is the reason why we call it as a best practice. Whenever you are setting up a new AWS infra, always use the new VPC. Never go with the default one. Point number one, you will create the networking as per your need. Point number two, you will learn more new things. And point number three, it is a great practice. So here you have to define this IP address. This means public, or you can say this is the internet. And here you have to type the internet gateway. If you just click here, INTER, internet gateway, okay, IGW, it will give you the options of internet gateway. Now there's only one internet gateway which is attached to this VPC, that's this. Okay, if you just click this internet gateway, save the changes. Now go back to the instance and let's try to take the SH. And as you can see, now we are able to take the SH inside the instance V. I hope you guys got the concept of networking in the AWS, right?
Yes.
So remember that point number one, create the VPC. Point number two, create the internet gateway. Point number three, change the routing. Now you have the internet available into that VPC. Now you can launch the instance. And point number four, you have to open the port number 22 in that instance as well. Okay. So these are the requirements. From now, from this instance, you would be able to ping to the earlier one. And as you can see, we are able to get the response using ICMP. Now again, still this is not a private network. It's a public network. We are doing ping on public IP address. And both the system has the internet gateway, so they are able to connect to each other. Now, what if I want to do a private communication? Let's try to do this as well. So I hope you guys got the concept. Let's just move to the EC2 instances. And here we have the private IP address of instance A, this one. Let's try to ping this IP address. We have the ICMP open, right? But the point is that both are completely different network, and as I told you, VPC is completely isolated. So even if you have enabled the ICMP from the security group to the public, you won't be able to communicate through the private IP addresses. So private is the separate network, public is a separate network. You can understand it as a, like for example, you are five people living in a one house and you're using a broadband. You five are connected to the broadband or the Wi-Fi. You five will be able to communicate with each other even if the broadband internet is not working. Reason? Because you all five are connected to the one network. That's your private network. And when you five or anyone from you wants to communicate through the internet to somebody who is living in any other house with the another Wi-Fi, in that case, that broadband should have a working internet connection and the another one as well. Okay, so this is the public and private concept. I hope you guys got that. And this is the reason why we are not able to ping. Now here comes the concept of VPC peering, and let's do the VPC peering now. And remember that VPC peering is a very important question when it comes to the interviews. And you guys can say that you have done VPC peering multiple times because it's not that difficult. So this is the VPC pairing that I just related before this session. And let's create the new one, create VPC pairing. Now this time I have to give different name because just here we have the name already present here. Let me check if we can remove this. No, this it will be removed automatically after some time. Even if you terminate any instance, the terminated state instance remains there. It get removed after some time. Okay, so don't worry about this. We just have to give another name right now. So A to B, I will say, or A comma B comma A, like this, or you can just type it like A B A, because this will be bi-directional. Even you can create the unidirectional VPC pairing. That means only A will be communicate to the B. B can't come to the A. You can also create that, but that's a very depth network. You should have a great understanding of the networks. For that you have to do a lot of practice. Even you can learn that by yourself. That's not a difficult concept. By doing multiple, you can say, experiments on VPC peering or VPC, you will be able to do that. But one more thing you guys have to remember, that it's a very sensitive concept when it comes to the route table. If you are working with the organization and if you have done any wrong change in this route table, it can disturb the whole connectivity. Long time ago, when I just started working as a DevOps, accidentally I changed this route table. I associated different subnet with different route table. And what happened there? The whole network, the whole application was down because of my one mistake. One little mistake, the subnet was disassociated. Even I haven't disassociated. I attached the subnet to another route table. Because of that, whole networking was stopped and nobody was able to figure out what's the issue. Even I was not able to figure out the issue. Then after like 5 to 10 minutes, I got in my mind like I have done some change in the networking. Let's check that. So I get to know that the subnet is removed from the route table. Then I attached it back to the route table and the whole networking was on. So remember this. It's a very serious thing. So do this carefully. On the practice, whenever you are doing practice, it's not a difficult thing. You can do that normally. But whenever you're working with the organization or working on a project or the production, remember that this can disturb the whole networking. So whenever we are creating the VPC peering, as you can see, first of all, you have to give the name. Then you have to define the requester VPC ID. The one is requester, the second is response acceptor. Okay, so you can decide anyone. Like this can be the requester, this can be acceptor, even this can be the requester, this can be the acceptor. No issues. Whenever you are doing the bi-directional VPC peering, if you have created unidirectional, even unidirection is on the basis of route table, not logically. You can create any acceptor and any requester. Okay, so here I'm selecting VPC1 as the requester. You will see the CIDR automatically here, and here we have the option of another account as well. If you have another AWS account and there is one VPC into it, you can also do the VPC pairing. You just need to define the account ID first here, then you have to type the VPC ID here. Okay, it's just up to you. So what I'm going to do here is I will be selecting my account because the VPC in the same account. And also, if you select the VPC is in another region, you can select the region as well. Okay, from here. So right now it's the same region. Let's select the VPC. There is only one VPC available in this region. That's the VPC2. So my account, same region. This is the VPC. We have multiple options. We can choose the options as per our use. And let's create the peering. Now, as you can see, I have requested for the peering, but still this is in the pending acceptance by this. This is our account ID. If you just check here, this is our account ID 2241. Okay. By the way, he's my friend Narayan Rati, whose account we are using. So let's click on peering here. And in the peering, as you can see, it's still on the pending acceptance, right? So we have sent the request, and of course it's the same account, so we have to accept the request. So if you click on action, here is the option of accept request. Click there, and as you can see, this is the request of VPC pairing. So it says requester VPC is VPC1, acceptor VPC is VPC2. This is the requester CIDR. So let's accept the request here, and now VPC pairing is active. So what do you guys think? Now I should be able to do the ping, right? Yes or no? Let's see who is awake or who is active. No, we can't do the pairing. Oh, sorry, we can't do the ping now. Again, the same thing. Can anybody tell me what's the issue now? We have opened the security groups. We have done the VPC pairing. Now, what's the issue, man? Anyone?
I'm not sure.
Not sure. Anyone else? Others?
No. Mm,
No idea, others?
mm, maybe SSH connection refused. I
No,
mean,
no,
port with.
man. We are able to do the SH. We have the SH. I'm just asking about ping. Like, why I'm not able to ping the another instance using from this instance. This is the private IP through the private IP because public was working fine. We have the internet gateway, it will work fine. So issue is that again the route table.
We are unable to ping with the.
No, no. Issue is
Hmm.
related to the route table. We have to define the routes. Without the routes, we won't be able to do the ping. The reason is that route table needs defines the route, right? This is the network here from if you want to request send traffic here, this will be the path, right? Now, for let's check this route table. We have defined the internet. This is the internet, okay, and the internet gateway. The public one, the private one, our private area, and this is the local one. Where is the another subnet? Where is the subnet of another instance B? Not
It's
in the
not
net.
here.
Exactly. So we have to define it here. As I told you, route table is a very sensitive thing. If you have deleted one entry, it will disturb the whole network. So here, if you want to create the connectivity, you have to add one more route. Now here is the destination. So in the destination, you have to paste the CIDR of instance B, right? So what's the CIDR? That will be subnet CIDR, or you can provide the VPC CIDR as per your requirement. So what I will be doing here is I will be selecting the VPC CIDR. These are the peering connections. Where is the route table? Okay, here it is. Let me open the VPC from here. Okay, so that was the route table of VPC A. So I'm just typing the CIDR as this. And from here, we have to type peering. As you can see, peering connection. Let's click here. And here we have the connection listed here. If you have multiple connections in your system, you will all the connections will be listed out here. Let's select one connection and save changes. The meaning of this is if you want to, if your destination is this subnet, then the target is this peering. In the image, if your destination is this subnet, then the target is this peering. You have to go through this peering. This is the peering that we created now. A, B, A, right? This is the peering. This is the this is the sorry. This is the destination. This is the source. Okay. So we are adding in the route table of A, or you can say A VPC, right, to connect to the B VPC. Guys, you got. I think you guys got the concept. Let's add the route. Now we have added the route from A to B. So this is unidirectional, and we have to define the route on B as well. So let's go back to the route table. Click on the route table of VPC2. Let's click on the routes. Again, as you can see, we don't have the routes for the B, sorry, for A. And this is the B one, right? So let's type the IP address, or sorry, CIDR for the VPC1, and let's paste the CIDR here. Now we have defined the subnet of the CIDR here as well. And again, we have to type the peering here. If you type the peering, it will automatically show the ID. Let's select the ID and let's save the changes. Now you guys can say the peering is done completely. And if you go back here and try this ping command, it's working fine. Okay. I hope you guys got the concept of VPC peering very easily.
Yes.
Yes, Manish.
That's great. Let's jump back to the EC2 instances. So this was VPC peering. It was all about peering. Let's talk about the elastic IP addresses. So, what is the meaning of elastic IP address and what is the use of basically elastic? Meaning we can understand by the name directly, right? It's a elastic and it's IP. That means we can change it whenever we want or we can stretch it whenever we want. But the use of that elastic IP is whenever we talk about the EC2 instances, the IP address, the public IP address assigned to this EC2 instance is not a static public IP address. What static means, whenever we will shut down this instance, okay, for some time, and when we turn it on back, the IP address will not remain same. It's a dynamic IP address. So if you're going to host any application on this instance, and if sometime you thought like, let's shut down this instance for some time, and you will turn it on, then the IP address will not be the same. So to make it static, we use the static IP address or elastic IP, right? But elastic IP is paid, so you have to pay some amount for that. This is the only difference of using this public IP and dynamic one and the static one. Static one is registered to you, and if you have the static IP address, then you can just attach it with any domain and you can host your website over there. Even you can use this website, use this IP and attach it with the domain and host that. That will work definitely. But even in any situation, if your instance gets shut down, then you can't, your domain will not work. Why? Because even if your instance is up now, but the IP address is different. Okay, I think you guys got the concept. Now, if you want to attach any IP address with it, let's click on the elastic IP. Okay, now as you can see, we don't have any IP. Let's click on associate elastic IP address. This is the network border group. Let's click the US East one. So every country has a group of IPs allocated to them. So you have to select that. If you want to give any tag, test hyphen IP, okay, allocate. Now it will allocate the IP from the Amazon pool IP address. Now Amazon has some reserved IP addresses. Now this IP is allocated to this account only. No one in the world can use this IP address now. This is allocated to this instance. And if you click here, and there is an option of associate elastic IP address, right? First one is allocate. That means to take the buy or hold the IP. Now here we have the associate elastic IP address. Click here, instance, on which instance you want to associate that or allocate that, A1. Okay, let's click the A. If you want to choose the private one, select the private one as well. Allow this elastic IP address to be reassociated. Specify whether the elastic IP can be reassociated with a different resource if it already associated with the resource. It's just up to you. If you want to associate one IP to the multiple resources, you can also do that. And as you guys can see, we have network interface option here as well. Network interface means you can select the network interfaces as well as you can select the NAT gateways, because NAT gateway also requires the IP address, right? So for now, we are selecting the instance, and let's select the private IP address. No need to turn this on. Associate this. Now, if you guys check to the dashboard, we have two instances running, and this is the A instance. Let's click on the information, and as you guys can see, this is the elastic IP now. Earlier the IP was different, right? But now this is the elastic IP address, this is the elastic IP address. If you go to the another instance, you will not see the same IP. As you can see, there is no elastic IP here. That means this is a dynamic IP. As you can see, the public IP and the elastic IP is same. That means this is a static IP address. I think you guys got the concept of elastic IP address, right?
So when we do change it from Elastic to the normal IP, then we need to change the configurations again of the security group and everything.
No, no, no. There's no need to
Okay.
change in the configuration. That's a completely separate thing. And if you are really going to release this IP address, so that doesn't mean you will get the earlier IP address. That doesn't mean, remember that. You will get a new IP address now, because that IP address is given to somebody else, so that IP address is released automatically because that was dynamic one. And if you want to keep this IP address with yourself, you can detach this IP address from this resource and you can attach the same IP address to another resource as well. So for example, if I want to attach this from A and attach it to the B, I can also do that. That will definitely work fine. because that IP address is holded by this AWS account.
So as long as we keep paying for it, we can use it,
Yeah,
and then
till
that
we
one
release
is
the IP address, it's our IP address.
okay.
Okay, let's click to the elastic IP address again. Let's click on this IP actions. First of all, you need to disassociate because you cannot release directly associated IP address. So disassociate, it will show you the information, instance ID, network interface, blah blah blah. Disassociated, and the network interface is basically the ENI card. ENI card means whenever you use any device, it's a virtual one or the physical one, every device has the network interface card, NIC card, or you can say network interface. So every network interface has a unique ID. So we can say that's the MAC address, it's kind of MAC address. So that's the same thing. Whenever you're using the virtual servers, they have the unique address as well. So if you're going to do any like illegal work with the AWS instance, yeah, they can catch you easily because these ENS or network interfaces are listed on this AWS account. Okay, so we have disassociated this IP. Now let's click on actions and let's release the IP address to save the cost. So we have saved a lot of money. Let's click on the instances, and as you guys can see, again on instance A, we have a different IP address. Okay, and the IP elastic IP has been released. So this is how the elastic IP concept works. I hope you guys got the concept, right?
Yes.
All right. Now let's talk about the AMI. Now, yesterday we talked about the AMIs when we launched the instance using the Amazon Linux 2 AMI, right? We have multiple AMIs options available in Amazon Marketplace. But what if you want to create your own AMI? That means what I want is I have an instance where I have set it up my all stuff and I want to launch more instance similar to that instance, but I don't want to put the effort of installing those packages or softwares again and again. In that case, what I can do, I can take the backup of my one instance. Then I will be launching the instance from that backup again and again. So that will save my time as well, right? So this is why AMI is used. Now what happens whenever you create the AMI? AMI is sort of image. The image which stores the state of instance. It not only creates the clone of instance, it will copy the state of instance. Okay? Any file folder which is created in that instance will be copied to another instance. Also, it takes the snapshot of the disk as well. Disk means where our data is stored. It will create this snapshot of that disk. It will create the disk with that as well. The similar clone disk. Okay. Even sometimes the IDs are also same. So AMI is a very good thing. So how to create the AMI from the instance? For example, A is my instance from I want to create the AMI of A and I want to launch the more instances from A. So before I do that, first of all, let me delete the instance B. Otherwise, my friend will kill me. Although it's just my account. He even doesn't knows that I'm running AWS account on his name. Okay. So the instance is being shut down or it will get terminated automatically. Okay. So again, we have saved a lot of money. Let's click on instance A and instance actions. In this actions, we have image and templates option. Here, as you can see, we have option of create image. Let's click here. So this is going to be our image, or you guys can say the AMI. So AMI of A. Okay, here is the description. If you want to write, you can do that. As you can see, this is the volume. This volume will be cloned as well. And here we have the option of no reboot enabled. If you don't turn on this checkbox, your instance will be shut down and then will be turned back again on, right? So this is not a good approach to uncheck this box. You have to, this box should be checked whenever you're working on production or whenever you're creating the AMI. This saves the time as well as your install will not get reboot. If you are working on a production environment and you forget to check this, turn on this checkbox, then you have to face the downtime. Okay, so rest of the things will be done automatically. Let's create the image directly. And remember that if you just shut down the instance, if you just shut down the instance, don't terminate that like there this instance terminated. We have two options: shut down the stop instance as well. Stop means shut down. Amazon will be keep charging for the storage because according to Amazon, you have kept the hard drive or the SSD, right? It will charge for the storage because your data is stored there. It is not going to be deleted. And if you have terminated the instance, that means your hard drive will also be terminated or released. So it will not charge for that particular stuff. Now, as you can see, currently creating AMI. Now this blue is very blue. Reason because I'm using the filter, this night light here to save my eyes. Okay, so here we have the AMI, and as you can see, the status is pending. Within few minutes, the status will be available or something like that. That we will be able to this. After that, we will be able to use this AMI. So this is how you can create the backup and how to launch the instance. Just click and launch the instance from AMI. Just click here. It will create the same exact instance from this AMI. This is how AMI works. You guys got the concept?
Yes, and it can be for any operating system.
Yeah, it can be for any operating system. Okay.
Okay.
It
And
this
do we need
AMI will launch only for the Linux thing, right? Because we have created the backup of Linux system. Remember that.
okay. And the volume has to be attached, right? Or else the files and configurations inside won't be copied. So there's no point of creating AMI, right?
Yeah. At this point, everything will be copied because we have the whole snapshot of the disk drive as well. If there was anything created into that disk, that will be also copied here. Okay. As you can see here,
Basically, it's a copy of that instance.
whole copy of that instance, including the disk and the instance operating system six settings as well. Okay. Now, one last topic remaining, and also the time.
Including key pair and everything.
Key pair is like we can say key pair is AWS specific, right? It's AWS specific. You have created the key pair, you have assigned that key pair to the instance, so the key pair will remain same. Okay, you will be able to log in through that key pair. No need to worry about that. When you will be launching the instance, you will be the instance will be launched, and you will be able to log in through that same key pair. Okay, you guys can create the AMI and try to launch instance from that. Okay, so
Manish, I have a question. Like, this is not related to the topic, but if we
okay.
lose the key pair, is there any way we can get the
Yes,
key
yes,
pair? Like,
yes. We have multiple ways to do that, and that's an interview question as well. What you will do if you
okay.
lose the key pair? Point number one: key using key pair is not the recommended way to use the
Your voice
DevOps.
is low, Manish.
Now it's okay. It's
Yeah,
good.
it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So using key pair is not recommended. The reason because in my scenario, what we do, we actually use bastions. Bastion means jump servers. So there is a jump server in the we can say public network. We log into that server, and through that jump server, we log into the private network. And to log in into that jump server, we also use the VPN. We also use the VPN. So that's a security, a, you can say range. And to log in into our instance, we don't use the key pairs. We use the passwords over there. So using password is recommended. And when you're don't use the password for the public activity. For the public connection, password is not recommended. Remember that. Here you can go with the key pair. Now, if the key
Okay.
pair is lost, you can create a new key pair as well. Also, we have another method. The another method says that you can launch one more instance. And when you have launched another instance, detach the hard drive of this instance whose key pair is lost. Attach that hard drive to another instance. After attaching that hard drive to another instance, go log into the instance, go to the path of SSH configuration and enable the password based authentication over there. And again, detach the volume, attach back to the previous instance, log in into it using the password. So we have multiple ways to do this. Okay, this comes completely in the troubleshooting. I did the same thing today. I got the instance where I don't have the password access, I don't have the key pair. but still it's required to log in into the instance, and I cannot delete the instance. It's a very important instance. My data was inside this instance. What I did the same process. I detached the volume, attached to another instance, changed the configuration, attached back to this instance. Also, I created my user into it, attached back to this instance, and logged in with my user. Okay. So as you guys can see, the AMI is available now. There is one more topic of auto scaling groups. We will learn about the topic tomorrow. Okay. Let's wrap up here for today. I guess we learned a huge topic. That was the PC pairing, and you guys need time to understand that as well. Okay. So if you guys have any